It's Cecile
and Jen
with Things in My Head podcast. We are doing season 2, episode 21.
Yeah.
I look at her and I'm like, what is it, 21? If you don't know, we are a two-part series here, two-people person here on this podcast, Things in My Head. You probably know us from Brooks Boutique and also Brooke and I as Texas Realtors, all encompassed under Reynolds Property Group. And we love doing this podcast and chatting and getting to know each other better and really hopefully finding things that we can relate to as a whole. So before we get started, we just wanted to make sure to thank you. Please subscribe, share this with any friends that you have. Ways to get a hold of us is on Instagram. Our handle is Things in My Head podcast, all written out. And that is also our Gmail address, Things in My Head podcast at gmail.com. We take all feedback, ideas of what we could talk about, things like that, or DM us. And then for our businesses, we have Brooks Boutique, which is a luxury and designer women's boutique in Texas. We're in Pearland, but we service all of the U.S. So our Instagram is Love Brooks Boutique and on TikTok, and our Facebook page is Brooks Boutique Pearland, and our website is brooksboutique.com. We'll put it all in the show notes, but you have it there as well. For our real estate portion of our business, you can follow Brooke and I on Instagram, Sweet and Petite Duo. We are realtors with a Keller Williams Metropolitan in Houston, and we love to help anyone who is interested in buying, selling, or investing at any point. Even it could be, a couple years from now if you have any young adults or first-time home buyers, or if you want to upgrade. So we help on all of that. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Do you want to intro this episode?
Yes, since I guess we were kind of talking and we were thinking about what can we do for episode 21, and I was thinking work-life balance.
Makes sense.
Everybody goes through difficult times where work is very overwhelming and it's hard to balance out friends, family, and making sure that everything that you need to get done for your job is done correctly and good.
Yes.
So I think that it's pretty important to talk about it because it can really bog you down when you feel like all you do is work.
And how, because we have definitely dealt a lot with that in this past, probably month for sure.
Yeah.
Longer for me, but because of staffing, if you listen to the last episode we did about, staff changes, staff leaving, us not replacing things we've done, we can talk about that, but we'll talk on the personal side. And then multi-generational, because I obviously, I guess I'm considered a Gen X. Yes.
I think
I'm Gen X. You're millennial. And then Brooke would be Gen Z. So how that all plays out.
Yeah.
All right. So as a little feedback, a quick snippet, we talked about how over time, we're really honestly down to really consistently probably 4 people working at the boutique, Brooks Boutique, the sales floor.
Yeah.
And that's Jen, Soraya, Brooke, and if you count myself, because I'm there a lot, and with lives and stuff. Of course, the joke is when I'm there, I don't know how to do half the stuff at this point.
I was going to say Joanne's with us too. She helps us a lot.
Oh, true. Joanne does as consistently. But we used to have a staff of 11, a lot of people.
We used to have 4 people that were just the sales floor.
Right. And then we had posting people. We had Joanne in the back. Then I would come in. So it was great. It was a lot. But just because of how you have to run a small business or any business, we tapered down when 2024 was a harder sales year. So we're down to 4 or 5 of us. And we really try to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
And what happened is I told Jen and Soraya that, they were working 4 days a week, 5 days a week, but not a full day. And so, I really, and these are their living wages. This is not a side gig, a college gig. This is how they live. And so I really wanted to take the opportunity to get them at full-time hours and make sure that I could take care of them so they could take care of themselves without having to hire. So we made up some hours there and we got some consistency, and we changed it to where if you work the full, we get there at 9 a.m. we leave at 6 p.m. And so a consistent person is there all day versus hand off and who's doing what. So that's helped, I think, a lot. And it's funny because we've talked about this, and then we closed Sundays to one, we wanted to, and 2, obviously we then didn't need as many people if we did have a couple more shifts to fill. But what I think I just had this conversation in an admin meeting with me, Brooke, Jen, Soraya, which is the 4 main girls that work most of the time on the floor, is even though that for you and Soraya in particular, you work 5 days a week, and that's what a normal, like let's say normal corporate world is, 5 days, and you get 2 days off. It's different though, because it's not like we're sitting behind a desk, and we are like,
we're up on your feet.
You are going, and that's why when people, we say just hire someone, we don't always like to hire also, because a lot of people see the lives and think that job would be so much fun, and while it is, I don't think they realize the actual amount of work, the detailing, the actual tedious task that sometimes has to happen.
Yeah, it's a very complex job, the way that we do it, because we take in consignment, so you have to be trained on like intake, which that in other stores is a person's job. Like they are just intakers. They're really good at taking in the right stuff. The people that work there, that is what they're trained for. That's all they do. You got sales floor people, they just sell. We do every aspect. There are people that list to the website, take the photographs. Everybody does that as well. So we do all of it.
So side note, they go to like visit other resale stores in a conference or another town, and they see how they work as a business, and they come back to me and they're like, they have a person for this, and they have a person for this, and I have a person for this. And I'm like, yes, I know. But guess what? We're doing it all. Everyone has to do everything.
Yes. I think that the way we have the store, it's kind of a little bit different.
It's called cross-training. Job security.
It's not as big of a store. Their stores are bigger, which facilitates having a designated space. Like even like if you go to like your Buffalo Exchange, or I'm sure even I've never been to a Plato's, but they have areas where you like, I've consigned at other stores before, and it's like there's an area where you go to the side,
just that,
where it's just you're doing that. So I couldn't even imagine like trying to put that in, because
then you'd have to staff that separately.
We don't even have the space.
We can do a lot in little space, okay?
We don't have.
It's not about the size, Jen. Sorry. Like, you left that open.
Yeah, I think that, especially because I recently went to conference, so I really didn't know how like other stores ever worked.
And you're like, oh my God, we're idiots. I was like, I'm going to get Cecile.
I was like, wow, I know how to do every single facet of every single part of this job. I don't know.
She didn't realize she was getting snowed.
I was like, I thought that everybody did everything in a small business.
That's so funny.
So I was like, wow, no, sometimes, but I think it's good for us because it gives you a lot of skills. Heaven forbid everything, crashes. Like at least I have some skills, that are great skills.
Yeah. But I think the point of our story is because even though we say you girls, you ladies, you work 5 days like most people, but those 9 hours that were there, if you do the math, yes, we know it's more than 40, but they get a day off somewhere.
I actually, we are
5-4.
We do 3 days off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's really actually 3 days off, because you're still getting your 2 days off that were open, and then Sundays. So even though it feels like that hours wise, you are never sitting. You're always on the go. You're on high alert because there's always something to do. There's people to help, plus the online Facebooks, and so. Excuse me. So I think we were starting to feel burnt out. I know I did, because the truth of it is if going back to our topic of work-life balance, I'll speak for myself. So I wasn't there a lot in the fall because, y'all could run it by yourselves. And if it was a little slower, then I personally was like, well, I don't need to go up there because there's already 3 or 4 of them. And I could do the real estate side, because why would I, add more to that? And because the honest truth is when I am there before, too many hands in the pot, right? Yes. You're like, oh no. There's also other parts of this business that have to be done not at the boutique.
Correct.
Like just other things.
Right.
So like growing you have to be working in different facets.
Yes. Yeah. So then, but when we only have 2 people on staff there during the day, it really is hard to get someone to break away and do the lives, prep the lives. And so I would purposely come and just be there to do the lives and alleviate that portion of it. So what that meant was I was there all day. We would work real estate there as well, but then a lot of the paperwork, admin kind of stuff for both businesses would have to happen at night. Plus, for them, like for me, the difference is I think that obviously, I have the kids, I have, a husband, and that, and face it, the mom does do a lot of the like housework type of stuff. So I had to still balance all that. And I would find myself, like 9, 10 every night. It's still kind of at the desk at home, and then finally crawl into bed at like 10:30 and be like, I made it, and I love work. In my generation, or for me personally, I love working, and I love these two businesses because it does not feel like work because it's hours. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed, and burnt out, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank God we have Sundays. I was like, okay, we need to do something. And so
we would not have made it without the Sundays.
Well, because then I was seeing it in you guys. And of course, Brooke, I see Brooke, she's doing the same thing. And I was like, let's get the group together. And we chatted. And I just first, when we had this meeting last week, was to acknowledge that I think we're feeling burnt out in the sense that because the tasks are the same over and over. You mentioned that. The tasks are the same over and over. So it's not like we're doing a project and then the project ends and you're like, whoo, relief. It's like we're doing the same task over and over. We love it. It's better sales. And we're happy to have it. But that's, I think, where the burnout comes because you're like, what's different?
It's the same. And so the good thing about working in a small business, or why I think I've always loved working in a small business, is that there are other projects that are bigger than the store. Like this very project is one of them. That is more of like a passion for me and less of a working thing. This is something that, I always wanted to do, and maybe I wouldn't have had the courage to do it by myself, but now having, there's like a platform, a safety net, some kind of, there's other people who are thinking like me. And I find fulfillment in those bigger projects, the pop-ups. I think that that's another thing where I would find more fulfillment. I'm a very introverted person. As you know, I'm very like into myself, like just being like, it's hard for me to speak.
Right.
So this job is really funny because I talk a lot. And I think that the pop-ups give me a chance to grow that skill. I think I realized when I was lacking was the conference. I was like, this is harder. So then I kind of saw it again in the pop-up. So that's something that I want to work on.
I love that. And so what she's talking about the pop-up is we, part of the things we want to do is like the pop-ups, consignor pop-ups, where we did one and in a local town like 30 minutes away, and we set up at a local small business coffee shop, and people would bring us things and we would buy them a coffee, but you have to talk, you're in public. And so that's what she's talking about. And it was true because it was Lauren, Jen, and I, and Lauren, Lauren, she's like, hi, this is me, I'm still directing. I'm like, go talk to them, go talk to that person sitting over there. And so I would watch Jen's like, and Lauren would be like, hi. But I am proud of you because you're putting yourself out there to do it.
When you put yourself out there, or it's something that's kind of scary, that's where I find fulfillment in the work that I'm doing, because I know that I'm growing myself in a way that I know that's where I'm lacking. So,
well, to tell you the truth, like I have a lot of ideas, but I don't have a lot of execution because my mind is too busy and I've got so much responsibility. So when I'm like, Jen, we should do a pop-up, but just so you know, because other times is, while the other side of the business part of having a small business is making sure your people, the good people, never leave you, but there's growth. And so you think in a small business, in a boutique, let's say, where's the growth? We're a boutique. It's not like there's a regional division. So then I then need to know what you want to do and how can we incorporate in the boutique so we can both benefit. And hence this podcast. I knew that you had a want to learn the technical skill and the ability to do a podcast for whatever you might want to do on the side, later, whatever. And so I was like, oh my God, we're the perfect place to do it, and these pop-ups and event, because the business is going to change, I feel, over the next year when we change locations and change models, and we will be out more in the community. It won't be so like fast paced. We'll still be there, don't get me wrong, but it will function a lot differently where we can be out in the community hosting events, meeting you guys and growing your skills, you know, so you feel fulfilled and it doesn't feel, because this is Sunday, we're filming this on a Sunday, we're supposed to be off, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, this is more like I talked about it on the live the other day, but I was like, this is definitely more of a passion project. So it's not as much of like a working.
Yeah.
It doesn't like, yeah.
Well, that's funny you say it that way, because I remember when we first started this, and I guess that's how I was wording it, because
that having a passion project like this podcast does really help us. Sometimes it doesn't feel like work when you feel like you're growing your personality, you're growing yourself.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're also doing something that is work related. So it's good when you can mix the things that you love to do with the things that also earn you money, which I think is one of the harder things to do in life. It's like, we have to eat and survive, so we have to have a job that earns us money. But, I loved doing art. That is something that's not very high earning. It is not like, there's no set career path for an artist. Artists just, do what they have to do to survive. There's a stigma like starving artist. So you got to kind of balance, having to put food on the table and provide for just one, which is me.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's good, because that's true. So I think I think we probably beat a dead horse. Like, everyone gets that. Everyone is so busy these days, whatever that happens to be. Like, I was doing good last year, and then I feel like I've done double that now. So let's switch it, and maybe we can give everyone an idea of what we personally do or handle with, in terms of still being able to have some balance, which we agree we could be better.
Yeah.
But, okay, so what are some of the things you do?
Some of the things that I do to try and balance my job specifically is being on my phone, which is crazy thing to say, I think, right? So we have to be on our phones. We have to post to social media. We have to be thinking about different content ideas and interacting with lots of different people.
That's how most of our customers reach us, is through
our socials. And, it's awesome to be able to talk to people that are not even in the same state as you. I think that's so cool. But it can be overwhelming because you're like over communicating sometimes. So what I try and do is just put my phone down.
Okay.
When I'm not at the boutique, I try and flip my phone down. So that way, if there's like a real emergency, like it's close by. But, I try for the most part to not really look at social media when I'm not at work, because sometimes, you can go into those where you're just like death scrolling, where you're just on there for hours and you literally did nothing with your day, but you just scrolled like all day. And that's, really not good for you. So I think that putting your phone down helps me disconnect, and I just try and do another hobby. My other hobbies would probably be like running.
Yeah.
I found a lot of community in that. Lots of my friends have jumped onto it. That's awesome. It's been really, really good to be able to spend some outside time where you are not thinking about anybody, but this is just for you.
The funny thing is like Jen, she talks about being private, and we're such a close team that sometimes I really don't bother her on her days off, or try not to. Only one, because I don't think she's going to answer me anyway.
Oh my gosh.
No, but two is I really sometimes think I have no idea, because she doesn't post socially, personally on social media. Like Sarai and I will, Brooke, obviously me. So I'm like, I have no idea what she does on her days off unless it's a running time. Yeah. Which is good.
It's because Lauren will post and I'll be in the background. So you'll know what I did that day. But yeah, I think that it's good sometimes to just
keep it private.
And it's also good for you mentally to just,
live your life. We don't remember what that is anymore, living your life outside of social media.
I think that those are good things to just, having a hobby or an exercise group or somebody that, places where you go, where you're in a community where it's like real life people, IRL, like, talking, and we're all mutually having a good time doing this one activity. Or just taking your phone off. I like to read, like fiction books, nothing like smart. Nothing that's going to make me smarter. Just like the fun drama books. But I think that's also good. Because
and I think you put a good boundary too, because like for those that know, Jen has been working with us for a long time, many years, and she does a great, even though we feel close to her, we have here, she does compartmentalize. Like I don't think I've ever met one of your friends or your parents or anyone in your family. But that's okay.
It's a question. Does she have friends? Does she have a family?
Am I getting catfished?
I think my my mom has come into the boutique more so when it was in Missouri City.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had a closer thing. Yeah. I know my dad came in one time and scared everybody because we don't look anything alike. We look nothing alike.
An Annie man that comes in solo to the boutique, we're on high alert.
Yeah. So he used to visit me, but I think because I'm no longer closer, like it's
physically
harder.
Closer.
Physically closer. My mom really never goes to Pearland that often.
And she doesn't Jen doesn't live in Pearland, so it's not like she would come out there. But I think that's a good balance for you too. Even though you don't hide yourself, you do kind of keep it separate. Probably keep it separate.
I think it's good because when you're talking with your friends, then I don't talk about work. Like if I was working with my friends, then we would talk about work because we would have that in common, and that would be what we would be doing all the time. What I enjoy with my friends or friend time is that we talk about other topics, and I become, my life.
You become
and my
your individual.
Yeah, my personality becomes bigger than my job.
So let me ask this question. So when we are, like, sometimes I do notice, and this is not a bad or good thing, and maybe it's the generational part, because in generation Gen X is we did I don't know where that came from. we did and do work like is all the time. Like we think we're always on for the most part, especially if you're in small business and in a very social media focused small business in the sense that that's where your customers are because of how people want an answer right now. They want instant gratification. They want they want you to respond. And so part of that is the balance when I want y'all to take off because the boutique physically closes in your home, then I take over and we'll try to keep the lives answered. I mean, like the Facebook and social media answered because that's when they want to know. And it doesn't necessarily feel like work, but sometimes I don't know the answer because I wasn't there. I'm like, is that still available? How much was it? And I hate to bother you, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, if they know just for a second, then I can help get this sold for the consignor. But then I feel bad. And then, and so anyway, so I just wonder if that bothers you.
I feel like it's kind of funny because I always answer last. Maybe I knew the answer to the question. And for all intents and purposes, my car was very, very old. And my commute is pretty long and has always been a longer commute. Like whether I live with my mom or moved out, I never lived in Pearland.
Yes, true.
So I'm always driving when you ask those questions. I'm still going home. And if you know me, I'm a very grandma driver. Like if I'm driving, my phone is like, that's a no phone time. Like I don't look at my phone. So I never could answer. Now I have a newer car and you can just click it and it'll read it to you. So it's much safer. And you can also just verbalize and send a message through the car. So I feel like I can answer more questions while I'm still driving.
So it was technology driven.
But
I always felt like I bought, because it's true. The funny thing is Soraya will be like, boom. And it's true because Soraya will either Uber or Chad will take her.
So she's not
not driving herself.
Yeah.
But I can see how that optics of it looks like, oh, Soraya answers all the time and Jen's always last.
Bad. I feel bad.
We should have talked about this a long time ago.
I do feel a little bad because
Don't feel bad.
I always have her answering all the messages.
Don't feel bad. I judged you a long time ago.
Oh my God.
This makes way more sense. This is actually a great like example of communication or optics or like how it could be misconstrued.
Yeah, because
we never talked about this for those that are listening. And I'm not gonna lie, I would always then feel like, wow, Soraya always answers fast, and Jen, I don't know where she is.
You're lucky if you get it.
I know, I can't get mad because you're not on the clock. You know?
I have a longer commute. It's like 45 minutes. So, and if there's traffic, then I'm stuck for even longer. So I would always, like, by the time I'm at a stoplight, the light turns green. Like, I'm halfway through the message and I'm not sending it correctly. Okay. And
I take back all my thoughts. I take it all. I'm just kidding.
You're going to say, aha, I got her.
But I'll tell you, so for me, I think what we've actively tried to do is the physical things you can do. We closed on Sunday. That's helpful. We work on passion projects, you know. Yeah. So even though I love working all day, I really do, in the essence, love being productive and always, like, I have learned to find things that I can incorporate the businesses in while doing things I love. For instance, I made a personal choice that the way we were going to market and me be out in the community is for me to find what is authentic to me on groups I want wanted to join and things I wanted to participate in and give my talents time to. For instance, church groups. There's a Filipino group that because if I'm Filipino, if you don't know, that in my church that they just started. So I was like, okay, that's something I want to get involved with. And by chance, I could meet new people, introduce them to our business, but I enjoy it. Things like we've talked about, just different networking groups, or just, so I incorporate it in things that probably make me busier, in all honesty, but it's in ways that I enjoy, but I could also represent our businesses. So I've been able to do that. And, you know, that's been a lot of help. I mean, a lot of ways to make it feel a little more balanced, so I'm not just boutique and real estate
you're
stuff.
Not just, you become more than your job.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bigger purpose in it that we're reaching, so I think that's been really good. And then honestly, when we met, the four of us strategized on how can we not feel like we're just in the runaround of the boutique and do other things and really allocate time. And to be honest, we did talk about hiring someone else. And fortunately, Eliza's able to come back again for more hours. So I think that's a good Band-Aid for now.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, that's that. And then I think truly, but I'm not 100% there. I guilt myself that I have not, you know, done any exercise or working out. I had this thing where it was going good in the fall, where Mark, my youngest son, is a senior in high school, and he's going away in the fall. So I wanted to try as much as possible, since I can control my schedule more, to be home around 3:30 every day when he was home, just so that way he can see my mom is home until he leaves for school. Well, that has not happened a lot at all this last month, you know? So then, but that's a self-imposed thing. Like he probably doesn't care, you know? But at the same, so now I've had to forgive myself and say, if I get home at 5:30, it is what it is, you know?
But I think that you putting goals forth helps you at least achieve it some of the time.
And guilt the rest of the time.
Oh my God. I think that's not, you shouldn't guilt yourself when you don't achieve what you were supposed to. It just means that you may have failed to achieve it at that point, but you just look at it, okay, this is what happened to lead to not doing it. So then I'll just try this way. And it might not work. Your next way might not work. And I think having like an open mind of just like not doing it right every single time is also a healthy way of thinking.
Well, that's actually a segment into like even the boutique work, because we were so stringent and everyone expected and wanted, you know, it's 4 lives a day. And to do 4 lives a day is a machine. And if there's not enough people and we can only get to 2 lives a day, 3 lives a day, you may, and I'm not gonna lie, probably from me as the owner, y'all are probably like, well, I mean, we're trying to, but we can't. So honestly, y'all are strong enough to know, like, I can't. If we can't, you can't. And in the very beginning, if we're truly being honest, I'm always like, dang it, I have to go because we can never get to 4 lives and it hurts the sales. But I've even had to let that go. I'm like, I know that the ladies are doing the best they can. And if they did 2 lives today and I couldn't physically come up to help them, then 2 lives is the best we could do.
Yeah. I think that we also, the lives are great and they do help us with the sales, but we find other ways. That don't necessarily mean coming on lives. And sometimes we beg everyone that passes by the store. Please. But we find other ways to try and find
OnlyFans. I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, we look for a different way. We like by posting or doing a different thing. Sometimes.
We started doing Facebook ads.
Yeah, we started doing Facebook ads. And that's actually been a good little thing. So we're trying to get that on a handle. And I think, it's a transitional period, but it's really, really good.
So the whole point of us complaining to y'all apparently, or throwing up everything we thought is 1, it's good to get it out.
Yeah.
2, to acknowledge it. And 3, you're not alone. And we struggle with it and continue to struggle and probably will continue to struggle with it until we figure it out, if we ever do. It's just one of those things that I feel like nobody talks about because we all try and look like we have our life together. Well, social media will make you think that, and I know sometimes my posts will, and I say that because I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels like, oh, this is a great acknowledgement, this is a thing. But I really want to say, and I'm going to, I think on my next personal post, is this might look great, but this is years of work. This is maybe, all culminating at the same time, but but we've been at the boutique 13 years and we've struggled. We've been in real estate, and all these accolades are like months, and they all happen to happen right now, but doesn't mean that we didn't struggle for 5 months of the thing, So social media does definitely make it hard.
Yeah. I think you see everyone's highlight reel. And so it's really hard. And then you see that you're not always at a highlight reel. You're not always having a highlight.
I do it too, honestly. And I have purposely for me, who's type A high achiever, I will be like, oh, how come I'm not?
Yeah, you feel like you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
So I think that just hearing other people say it's okay to not have all the plates together and to drop a plate or two is okay. You can always pick it back up and grab a new plate.
Everyone says, and it's true, I wholeheartedly believe it. It's sometimes hard to remember it, is what God gives for you is someone cannot take, but at the same time it's hard when you're seeing everything and you're like, well, am I getting it now?
When does it arrive?
Did I overlook? Was I not home when it came?
Amazon said 2-day delivery.
So hopefully that was helpful in that, for the sole purpose of, that if you know us and it looks all easy, it's not. We struggle every day, continue to struggle, and probably when I turn off the live, I'm crying. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. I hope not.
No, actually, when I turn off, especially if I've done 4 in a row, I'll turn it off and I'll be like, I'm not talking the rest of the day.
Yes. Yes.
No more words.
I am mute now.
All right. Well, hope that was helpful or amusing or some insight to life.
And yeah, that is pretty much this episode. Remember to like and subscribe if you love this episode. We would truly appreciate it. If you have any ideas for new episodes or want us to bring on a specific guest with a specific talent or expertise in something, let us know at thingsinmyhead@gmail.com. So that is the email that you can reach us by. You can also DM us on Instagram. It's the same, Things in My Head podcast on Instagram. But yeah, that is our store is Brooks Boutique. And you can follow all of our new arrivals at brooksboutique.com. Of course, we have Cecile's real estate realty. I'm going to cut this because was I supposed to go into all that? I don't feel like it.
No,
I
guess at the beginning. Cut it and be like,
yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow our pages.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that.
See you next time.
Yes. I'm going to be like, okay,
go.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will see you guys later. Bye.